Yeah.
This guy's out of control.
I'm just simply here to manage
I'm
just simply here to manage your emotions at this point.
So what is it about? You said black women what?
Are great. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
I would like to welcome you to the Greatest Show on Podcast. I'm your host, Lee.
What else?
AKA Southside Lee on IG.
What else?
And I'm joined by my partner in pod.
Yucks! Earlington Agustas the Great.
AKA
Your baby mama's baby daddy.
AKA
Your auntie's favorite pool boy.
AKA
Your mama's favorite. And we are
3ThePodWay. Chumps.
The success took a shot at it. What are you gonna do now? How are you gonna kill it? You gonna become unsuccessful?
You goddamn right. Let's give it up for him.
introducing Compton's very own
Godchild.
Muff Muff, a.k.a.
Darquavius's mama.
a.k.a.
Just call me Pastor Potty.
Let's give it up for
P-O-T-T-Y. Hey.
All right. Let's get right into it. For the record.
Potty or potty?
With D. With the D.
Okay.
Okay, for the record. Okay. Yeah,
That's
okay,
the way I go.
No, for the record, we are going to work on that. I just didn't feel like it was as seamless, and I don't feel like it integrated.
It was bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We normally wouldn't do this on camera, but if we got time, I would say terrible.
To replay? Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
For our Spanish listeners, El Terrible. Basura?
Garbage. Yeah.
It's okay.
Hey,
No, it's okay.
Hey, let's give it up for redos.
Ooh, HR.
How's
HR.
How little Dar, little Quay doing? How you doing?
He actually doing good. He's got to do summer school, so James and I are trying to work that out right now. It's a little expensive, so we're trying to figure it out.
Did the swelling go down from the ass whooping from the bus driver, or?
Yeah. I mean, that was so long ago.
I mean, I don't. Some ass whoopings
Why are we
last a
still
lifetime.
questioning that? Right?
I know, right? He's constantly attacking my kid, and I just, like I said, can that be
No,
part of
No,
an
but
HR
listen,
complaint?
we
Bus driver
do respect.
was attacking your kid.
We respect what you do as a mother for your child.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's give it up for that.
Give it up. Yeah.
All right.
Give it up for all the real moms out there. Happy Mother's Day.
So speaking of that, something has been going. I guess what we would consider super viral. I mean, we're a little late on it, but it's still worth having the conversation. So this situation where a man and a woman are in a relationship, and she has a child with this individual, but she also has 3 other children.
Right.
While in the relationship, the man is taking care of everyone within the household. For whatever reason, the relationship takes a turn, and now said gentleman is only taking care of his child.
Right.
Because I guess from a legal standpoint, that would be his only responsibility. Is that accurate to say?
Yes.
Okay, so from a legal standpoint, that is his only responsibility. And so now the story is, as you all have seen, that he is only bringing McDonald's for his child with the other 3 in the home.
Other 3 children in the home.
Right. Social media has gone crazy. And the interesting thing is that there literally is a division on whether this is right or appropriate, etc. So,
and we're here to settle it once and for all.
We are the authority on.
Yeah, it ends today.
So what's your thought?
I think holding the title of step daddy or stepfather, he has the luxury to step in, and then when his time is up, he also gets to step out.
Okay.
And I think that's what he did. He exercised his right as the stepfather or step.
Does he have a moral responsibility, since he started taking care of the children, to maintain that? Does he have a moral responsibility to do that?
Yeah, but his moral compass may not point north. It may not point upward.
And it's no one's right.
I can't tell that man how to live his life.
Right. And then, like I said, legally, right, he only has 1 child in the house that he's responsible for. So that's an argument. There's the other side of the argument.
Okay.
So what say you, as far as your opinion on it? I don't know if it aligns with the other argument, but we'll see.
It doesn't. I like the saying goes, mama's baby, papa's maybe. If she knew he was coming to bring his kid McDonald's. She knew that. Why not just cash up and say, hey, can you get my other kids some food?
Well, she ain't got it.
But
okay.
Those are her kids. It's not his responsibility. At the
and
end
no
of the
matter
day,
what the relationship is, those are always going to be
those are
her
always
kids.
going to be your children.
Right.
Just like you said, stepdad, he's here now. Everything's great. It's kosher. It's all this and that. But the day he decides to leave, those are still your kids. And just like she knew he was coming, she could have sent him a Cash App, an Apple Pay. That's not his responsibility. I think we got to get away from that. # paternity court.
And to be clear, I think
Okay.
she looked like the type of person that got an Android, so she wouldn't have Apple. I'm just saying, like, she wouldn't have Apple. Never mind.
She got Cash App, though.
Well, so something that somebody brought up to me was like, well, why are they recording this? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, how did all that
true.
happen?
Right,
because
right,
the one thing that I never considered once I finally looked at it was if this was a real thing versus a setup to generate this type of conversation.
Was she recording or was someone else recording?
No, it was her recording because she was like, look at him. He brought.
Right.
Da, da, da.
Right. So, I mean,
people record everything, though.
Yeah, but I mean, so I guess that kind of generates the question, too. Like, is it wise to leverage social media to discuss domestic disputes?
I think people do. I think people do that for somebody to be on their side.
Right.
Even when people run to social media with their problems, for what? Who are you trying to get on your side or to believe you?
I'll draw an analogy.
All right.
There are still people who have a legitimate argument as to why you should still be a fan of R. Kelly, which I think personally is borderline ridiculous. But to your point, there's going to be a sector that agrees with that. Mm-hmm. You're always going to be able to find that audience that says, I agree with that. No matter how egregious. No matter how egregious the argument is, you can find a subset of people that will lean into that.
For sure.
Yeah. So do we agree? I'm transitioning a little bit. Do we agree that social media is the place to, let's say, argue domestic disputes?
It shouldn't be, but it has become that. Right? Like, people live their whole lives on social media, so absolutely.
Can it be done in a healthy way? Because the way that you just described it, we're obviously assuming the negative side of it. Is there a positive side to it?
Maybe somebody sent her some Cash App so she could get her other kids McDonald's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you see a positive side in that?
I mean, there are some couples who like talk about things, and I think it does help in a sense
to gain other perspectives or whatever.
Yeah, and they're not disrespecting each other. Like she was doing it to gain some moment. Look at this. Look at him doing. Look how he's doing my other kids.
And there was a few follow up posts. And videos,
like
for sure.
It wasn't a few. Yeah, like I say, this
those
thing
are your kids.
Yeah, this thing for about a week or so kind of took over as like the topic of discussion. Like, and it seems so simple to me. Like when I heard about it, I was like, that seems rather easy to kind of figure out. But yeah, I mean, again, the dynamic in responses to it was kind of interesting.
Also, their relationship too. Like,
I'm sure that plays
like
a role
that. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
Absolutely.
Right.
The price of gas, everything's going up.
Right.
Why do I gotta? That's just not.
Both of them were playing on like their relationship, right? Because if, from my understanding, Buddy was doing that prior when they were together, right? And now that they're not. It's like, well, F you and your kids. I'm going to just take care of my kid. And then from her perspective, she's like, well, you're not going to do that and, disrespect my other kids who you were, who you've
Where
been.
your other baby daddies?
That was the one question that I had. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Why you keep making kids and you can't go get an Happy Meal?
Oh, there's a button here for that. I think is.
But I feel like to be on the other side, there were people who were. I guess the expectation was that he would do that for the other children, but it's almost like, well, there's an assumption that he can now afford to take care of the other kids, like. And
anybody who's ever had to feed more than you and one other person knows that those bills are not light by any stretch. Even a quick run to McDonald's for
a $5 Happy Meal now,
for like
$20,
right for let's say 4 or 5 people, right? That's an easy $30-$40 bill, and if you're constantly doing that, right? Yeah.
But even that too. Just I'll wrap up on my end. When we talk about when you leave relationships or you're not dealing with somebody no more, why should you still have the benefits of me being in your life?
What does that mean?
Okay, so when I'm with you, I do all these things for you. I look out for you. I take care of you, and all this other stuff.
So we're talking intangibles in a relationship.
Yeah. Now that we've broken up, we've moved on. You don't still have access to those benefits.
Right.
We're not together.
So you want to have a
anymore.
tough conversation?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. So she also tried to, and we didn't talk about this. She also tried to leverage the fact that when he does come around, he wants to engage in sexual activity with her.
Clap them cheeks.
But the way she said it was almost as though she wasn't a willing participant in it. Right? So you're inviting that energy in, and you know what it is, and you create an expectation based off of what you're allowing to happen. That's not that man's fault. He's just simply more or less taking advantage of a situation that he's been presented with. Right?
I can give you that.
So that's the other part of the conversation, right? So she was trying to leverage that as an argument, saying, well, he comes over here and he does this with me. Why wouldn't he also take on these
other responsibilities,
intangibles that you were just talking about?
And the answer is simple, because he don't have to. He can get that without doing it, clearly. So if I don't have to respect you, why would I?
Damn.
You're very direct and to the point, by the way. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. Like,
But I think
I don't have to work for it.
But I think to your point,
and I get the milk for free.
And you know, again, I think that a lot of conversations like this, we kind of avoid the obvious answer because it's uncomfortable, right? We don't want to say that she's willing to play the game until it's no longer convenient.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And a lot of people find themselves in situations just like that. You're willing to play the game until it's no longer convenient for you, and then you look to leverage and find whatever you can. And then when that doesn't work, now you resort to whatever you can to keep that thing going.
Just grasping at straws.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, so I think we all kind of see that for what it is. Buy your own Happy
Call
Meal.
Ronald. Playing with me. Don't fries.
So another interesting topic that came up recently was the topic is centered around submission. Right. So we've talked about how you let's look at the type of relationship that we're talking about with the baby mother, baby father. That's just us getting to know each other. Let's equate that more to boyfriend and girlfriend getting to know each other.
Go together.
Right. So now let's talk about what goes into that, right? As far as like do we define our roles? Do we assign our roles as we're getting to know each other? What happens?
I think it depends on like where you are, like in the relationship, right? So you just ain't coming out the gate like this is what point A, point B, point C. Like I understand setting boundaries of okay, we're at this point we're saying that we're dating and we're committed, right? So when you say that, then you say okay, well this is what I expect. This is what I expect from you, loyalty or what have you. And so I think that part is important, but I don't know. I mean, who we talking about?
But what you're saying, I guess let me ask it a different way. You're describing it potentially happening that way,
right?
But again, I'm asking like the actual conversation, right?
So,
because I'm trying to think, I don't think that's ever been an actual conversation.
I think it happens naturally.
Never had that conversation with anybody?
Roles, no.
Roles and like, yeah, no. Like I think it happens naturally.
Right. That's what I'm leaning towards. Right?
And I think it happens based on status, right? So if I am of a certain status, a stature, income bracket, or whatever the case is, whether we say it or not, there are expectations that come with that, right? And if my lady isn't in that lane, then I'm probably taking care of the mortgage. I'm probably or the rent, whatever we got. I probably got the car. So there are some
monetary,
right? There are some things that she's gonna have to do to fill in the gap of my financial commitment, right? If I'm the ugly dude and my girl is bad as hell, right? You know what I'm saying? Like there are some things I got to put in. There's some work I got to put in to make sure I keep that person. And then if y'all equally yoked, I think those roles just happen gradually, right? Like, oh, I take the trash out. you wash the cars or whatever the case is. Like
see, but this is my point.
You should have conversations around that kind of stuff.
Point.
But I think they're not. We don't have those conversations. I think they just happen.
See, that's my thing. I don't think
problem.
So. I do agree that they just happen, but I think now that we're talking through it, that might be how we end up in this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you have the expectation of one thing happening, not you specifically,
I know what
but
you're saying, yeah.
someone in that position has that expectation of those things falling into place that way.
Right.
And inevitably, the way that it works, that person does not know that, one, and then two, does not agree. Right. As to what their perceived role in this is.
Right.
You were gonna say something as far as like going back to that. Now with that as the premise, what is your?
Well, it's pretty much what you just said. Those conversations need to happen because if not, you're just making assumptions. Well, I do this, so I'm assume that you're gonna do this. Mm-hmm. I take care of this for you, so I assume you're gonna do that for me.
But what triggers that conversation? Because again, that's not a natural conversation.
So if we're dating or if we're just dating, right, and we don't live together or anything like that. Okay, cool. But I think once you go into the same household and you share bills and things or children, because you also got to talk about how you're going to raise kids. Right. You may have been raised this way. I may be raised a different way. We shouldn't figure that out after we have them. We should have that conversation before we have them so I can make sure you're the right person I need to be laying down with.
I would argue 95% of people do not have that conversation.
They don't, but I think that's a problem.
Right, and that's what we're talking about, right.
Even like thinking back, like, you know, when you first dating somebody, and obviously I'm coming from a male's perspective, right? The expectation is we go out to dinner, I'm going to cover it, right? So...
Not these days.
Well, I don't know what the new guys are doing, but
is it, who's going Dutch?
Yeah, not me. I'm just saying in general.
I'm paying for meals. I'm paying here because I won't be there. We might go on
James
a trip
don't
or
cover
two.
It all.
James got it. We might go on a trip or two. I might cover that first one, right? But at some point, I'm a break, right? Or we're gonna have that conversation like, hey, you know, I'm expecting you to chip in somewhere here. Mm-hmm. If that's how that, you know, that's how that rolls. But typically, as the woman, you can ride that wave, and you know, as long as we allow that to happen, then that is our situation.
Let's be a little more direct with it. So take his example, and that's what he's been doing. And the natural assumption is that he's going to be the provider.
Right.
He just naturally fit into that because since he's met you, he's been doing that. So now, as the provider, he looks at you as the homemaker once y'all enter into the kids' relationship, right? And because you've kind of indirectly fallen into that role, that's where you are now.
Okay.
And there are a list of things that come with being a homemaker.
Right, exactly.
We've never said like, you wash dishes, you cook every night, you do this. However, on that fifth night, if you ain't cooked, I might get an attitude. You know what I'm saying?
But how can you get an attitude and we never talked about it?
Well, you never offered to pay for a trip either.
I know, but you made an assumption just like I did. So you get what I'm saying? It just goes back to the problem. Nobody's talking about it.
So
if you want me to cook five nights out of the week, talk to me about the, hey, I go to work, I pay all the bills, you do this at home. This is something that I expect to happen or I would like to happen. How do we make it work?
So if he was paying your cell phone bill, and then he just all of a sudden decided one day, you know what? No, I'm not going to pay it this month because the new J's are coming out that I want. You're going to have to cover it. You're not going to have any type of response to that.
I am. That's fine. I'm going to pay my own cell phone bill because I believe everybody should have their own income coming in. And then I'm going to run you the same thing. So you want 5 meals a week, you get your new J's and you'll get 2.
Okay.
See,
so I'm just, but that's petty. But no, it's not. Right. Just like you moved your money to what you wanted, I'm gonna move mine to what needs.
You don't think that sounds petty?
You don't think you wanting J's and not paying my phone bill is petty?
How do we prioritize your phone? We never had that conversation. So
okay, and we never had it.
Now here's what I don't understand. For the people that listen to this.
Okay.
Did you hear the calmness in her voice when she was explaining? her response. But then when we changed it,
you don't want to pay my
right? The energy and the temperature in the room completely changed.
No, because you started it.
How much talk to Dog?
Yeah.
For the record, I'm here as a media entity.
You started it. You said you wasn't paying my bills because the Jays was coming. That's cool. I'm gonna take the money that I usually put towards getting your food to pay my phone bill, and then we even. And then next month you can figure out if you want to pay it.
No, so I'll still buy the food. All I need you to do
is cook it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So question.
Hold on. Why? Hold on. No, I can't let. What do you mean you don't know?
Go ahead.
What don't you know exactly?
I mean, because my phone's off, so I gotta get my phone bill paid. So that energy and that time that I took in the kitchen, it's gotta go somewhere. I get this money.
Gotta get this money.
I gotta get this money, James. So
James in trouble.
James, no.
James, whoever you are a saint, and you deserve a medal of some sort.
Hashtag Darquavius' daddy.
But I do think we're making a great point here. I think that those conversations do need to happen.
Absolutely.
But let's go back to what we were just talking about.
The
submission part. Right. So when people hear submission, right?
Do you have the definition? Do you know what that means?
The actual
Does anyone know what it means?
So do you?
No, I mean,
no. Okay, we're gonna get that.
I got it up.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, you had the agenda up.
You know I did.
She's a professional.
I do what I can all the time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so submission. Now, the action or fact of accepting or yielding to a superior force or to the will or authority of another person.
There we go.
Okay.
So in all of that,
that's Webster's definition.
Yes.
So in all of that,
dictionary.com.
What do you think people hear?
Yeah.
What word in all of that explanation?
Superior force.
Superior.
Yes.
Right? That's what people hear.
Right.
And that's how people take submission. That means that I have to be yielding or kneeling in essence to something bigger, more powerful, more whatever than myself.
And in 2022, no one's doing that.
Right. Well,
I mean, I think it depends. All right. So everybody always wants to put their own spin on things. And I think it depends on the relationship and the person or the situation.
Let me stop you for a second. Stay right there.
Okay.
So the reason why this particular comment was made was because there's a social media influencer by the name of Watch Jazzy that made comments about being submissive. And to some, it came across as overly submissive to her partner. And initially, everyone just absorbed it as information. Like, oh, well, okay, so she does that. And this is what she gets as a result of doing that.
Right.
And it was somewhat acceptable. The minute they found out that her boyfriend was Cam Newton, right, the whole narrative changed. Like, he does not deserve a woman being that to
submissive.
him.
Okay.
Right. So now I come back to what you were saying.
So her definition of submission, that was okay for her situation.
Right.
When I look at submission, I look at it a little bit differently. So when I hear submission in the situation that I'm in, I look at it more as, and if we're in a heated argument or something where you don't feel comfortable or I need to make a change, I want to make that change for you.
Okay.
Because I care about you and I want to submit in that way to let you know that I understand where you're coming from and I don't always have to be defensive to what you're doing.
Okay.
But I don't think it's all about, because she mentioned a lot of like cooking and cleaning and
her degree of submission had a lot of catering to within it.
Yeah.
Right. So where do we draw the line between? Yeah.
Where do you stand with that? Is that okay?
I mean, that's
good?
okay for her situation, for what she's doing, what he's doing for her. It works for their situation. Okay. So I think it's situation dependent. The person, whoever, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's all the same, because I
got a ledge I'm about to walk on. Do you want to say something?
Well, I just think when we hear the word, and we being the culture, black women, that's what I'm talking. I love black women. Let me stay there.
Hashtag
the word submissive or submission is a trigger word. You know what I mean? It's like instantly based on like how we talked about that superior force thing, right? So instantly it's just it's nasty, right? It's a nasty word in itself. So
and it creates a real tension between people when it's brought up or when it's even alluded to, right?
Right. But so before you get to whatever you think, I think the real question should be, Are you willing to do whatever it takes to make your partner happy? Right? Like that's when you hear submission, that's what it should be. And it, obviously, we should submit our will to each other or whatever the case. But that's ultimately what it comes down to, right? Like, are you, and in this case, her, willing to do whatever it takes to make her partner happy? And it appears as if she's doing that. So yeah.
Well, you're doing something right.
So the ledge is kind of off of that, but let me preface it with this. So for those that are familiar with different languages and dialects across the world, right? From what I understand, and I'm always open to be corrected. So if I'm wrong in this, please drop it in the comments that I'm wrong. But the English language is either the only or one of the only languages where we have multiple words for the same thing. Right? Whereas little, small, tiny, there's 3 words that in essence describe the same thing. So we're talking about submission and we're talking about cater to, and all I kept hearing was acts of service. But if you say acts of service, it's much more digestible. Absolutely. And it seems to convey a little differently.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so when you put it in the act of service bucket, again, how we want to be directing what we're saying, why is it seems as though in our culture, right, that the acts of service are taken that way as it potentially, right, saying that you have to do it, doing something for me means that either I now owe you something, right, or that it means that you're less than because you're doing this, right. I'm not saying it doesn't have. I can only speak from, again, the culture that I'm a part of, right. Where, and this is not even just in relationships, right. This is just us, period. Like even if you're at work, you don't want to give anyone the impression that you're subservient in any way. Like, so you're at the printer, your man prints off the PowerPoint presentation, you standing right there, like, nah. He gonna walk down here just like I did, and it's like, is that type of stuff necessary?
Dudes won't even walk in the room and say what's up to everybody because you like, man, I don't want them to not acknowledge me back,
right? So, because he could play me, right? Exactly.
And now I'm submitting. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So it was just interesting to hear all the energy around submission, but yet if you ask them same people, right, about acts of service, they all in. But they're saying the same thing. So I just think that I guess that's my way of saying that I think we just have to find a way to change the tone of those conversations in order to build out those healthy relationships. And I'm saying that as somebody who's invested now, right, at my age now, in the act of service concept.
Got you.
Right.
But submission, you don't subscribe to that.
No, I could even say at this point I am submissive in ways. Yeah, I could say that. I could own that now. Yeah. Okay. But again, going back to a much younger me, if you propose submission to me, I'm gonna have a much different response to it. Is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
No, I could dig it.
So now we've talked about the beginning of the relationship. We've talked about the potential submission stage, right? And that doesn't have a gender assignment, by the way. Submission or acts of service are that.
Gotcha.
Holistically. But then we're talking about now you're married. And for some, right, there's 20, 30, 40 years of bliss.
Of submission.
Right. And then there's, for some, there are the complete opposite. Let's call it that. The complete opposite, to where you're
not submitting.
You don't necessarily get your happily ever after.
Wow.
So you posed the question because you ran across a clip of Trick Daddy saying something.
Oh yeah. So my question was, what he said was essentially he would prefer he said let his wife go out and have a boyfriend before he would get a divorce from her.
Wow.
And so my question is when you get married, is that the end all be all? You can't walk away from this? Like, were you raised like that? Or is divorce an option? Is that on the table? Can you be like, you know what? This doesn't suit me anymore. I got to go.
Got you.
Because there are some people who be like, I just can't walk away. They don't, in some cultures, they just don't believe in divorce.
Right.
I do.
I was going to say, like
you do.
The U.S.
Okay.
I mean, our culture suggests that we believe in it. Personally speaking, I haven't seen a lot of successful, or I haven't had a ton of examples of successful marriages or marriage growing up. So, you know, I don't have like a historical view on that. You know what I mean? However, I do in terms of like the trick daddy situation. Man, divorce is expensive. So I can kind of see where he coming from. He could probably afford it. But yeah, it's a lot. And you married that person for a reason, right? So, yeah. Man, this is a man answer, right? You always want to leave the door open and come back. And if you're not divorced, then, you know what I mean? Like, you'll talk to a girl, you know, y'all did y'all thing. Y'all done moved on 2-3 girlfriends later. But if, like, one of your homeboys is like, yo, what's up with... You be like, nah, dog, that was me back in 81. Like, nah, that's still me. You know, so men, I'm speaking from, I'm saying the general men's perspective. Like, yeah, I think we operate like once ours, always ours. So
you just
he wants
to
stay
married.
I think he's doing that to have that opportunity to come back whenever he's done playing.
Well, I think to your point, right, what we think we're seeing anyway, because again, you know, what we're given from a social media standpoint and just a news presentation, right? Short clips is that divorce is almost being leveraged as a relationship management tool now, right? Whereas it's used as a means to it's kind of used more like if this, then this is what's going to happen. I don't like the energy surrounding that, right? Just because I get what the parameters are supposed to represent, but I'm also a big proponent of energy, right? I feel like if you somehow let your mind creep into that space, you'll find a way to start putting something in that space.
I can see that.
And now you're there. And as we all know from an emotional standpoint, once you're in certain places, it's the hardest thing, if ever, to get out of that space. Right? So that's kind of my take on it when I hear divorce. Like, again, so opposite to what you're saying, I've actually fortunately been surrounded by my elders, you know, having those type of relationships, those 20, 30, 40-year relationships and marriages, you know.
So then with that, I know it's a little off topic, but the concept of prenups. So you're anti-prenup?
Right. Am I anti-prenup?
I mean, because that's
now who are we talking about? Like, I mean, you got to have something to prenup about, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. Like,
are we talking about asset?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, from an asset standpoint.
That's the only thing that prenups cover, right? Or protect, right?
Yeah, I would say, so if I said what I just said,
right, exactly,
it has to apply.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say no. I'm anti-prenup. That's my answer. Right. Yeah, I'd have to be anti-prenup if I say what I just said.
But you got car insurance.
Hey, shout out to Allstate.
In case you crash.
Geico.
Shout out to Allstate. So again, another great episode. Before we get out of here, let's get a word from our sponsors.
Follow 3ThePodWay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chumps.
Sounds so beautiful, don't you agree?
Yeah. Shout out to prenups.
Because I'm a walk.
All right, on the way out, do you on the walk out, do you got anything for us?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Well, actually, no, your intro's terrible. You got anything for us on the way out?
Real quick, I know we're not supposed to do this, but I'm doing it. Drake's album.
Yeah, okay, real quick.
It's amazing.
It's amazing?
Yeah.
What's amazing about it?
I listen to house music.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys. So
can you hand me that box that's on the chair right there?
So I like that joint. Like, I rock with it. It's and I'm from Philly. Like, we've been listening to that type of music for a while. So yeah. So yeah, I definitely I'm into house music and some house music, and that joint just kind of hit. And then the Jimmy Crooks or whatever with 21, that joint jumped. So and I don't really.
That was a very strategic
I don't like giving
placement.
Drake his flowers.
That was a very strategic placement on that album, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That single has single-handedly, no pun intended, saved that album because the song is hard. Right?
I allowed the internet to make my decision for me for a long time, so I hated on that joint for like 2 weeks, and it's just easy to hate on Drake. But yeah, it's cool.
I would say that right. So I'm gonna close on this personally. I'm gonna say this to people. Celebrate your friends. Celebrate the ones that give you something when you need it, whether you ask for it directly or you don't. I think that we all fall into the mindset of, well, they just know, or it's just assumed that they know.
Right.
And also being willing to show the grandiose gestures that show how you feel about a person, and not having to second guess it or think that you're humbling yourself to some weird pride
submission.
Some weird pride thing that we've set up as a culture.
Absolutely.
So I'm here to say that as my brother, right? We wouldn't be here without you. Right. You push me into a space to
your daisies.
You make this
and your
you make this difficult. So I'm gonna take. See, I'm going all over the place, but stay with me. So I saw the movie The Best Man, and that collective and the way that they look out for each other. When I forgot, I think it was Terrence Howard. One of the characters fell on Tay Diggs' character fell on extremely hard times, and the group, without thinking, came together to make sure he was okay. Gotcha. That's the kind of circles I want to be in. Those are the kind of circles that I actually perpetuate and expect people around me to know that that's what we're building. Right. If you're not a part of that, or you don't want to be a part of that, unfortunately, you do you, I'm going to do me, we won't be doing lunch. So all that being said, my man is into shoes. And so for his birthday, decided to look out for him.
Really?
And pull out the.
First off,
I'll let you.
I didn't fall into hard times. The way you said that, I'm doing okay.
But yeah, man. No, go ahead. No, open the box. Man. Show the people what's going on, man.
Nah,
we got to show the people we not doing light stuff over here. We got to show the people.
Now you standing for the gram, because now if I'm wearing them, they're gonna be like, "Oh, these the joints that Lee
bought you." Southside bought those.
Right. Oh, those Southside shoes.
Oh, you wearing the shoes Southside bought you?
Fucked up, huh? Oh, these are dope, man. Oh, word. My bad. I got these in mids already, though.
Nah, that's disgusting. But yeah, like I said, man, hey, again, don't be afraid to show your friends that you actually, for lack of better terms, give a fuck about them. Because again, life is short and you only get this one time, right? Hey, so on that note,
thank you. First off, appreciate you, my guy. That's real love. Know that. I know your joint coming up soon.
You felt like that was a setup?
You will not be getting this treatment. I'll get you some mids or some lows. I'm not getting you.
And on that note, one thing for sure.
Two things for certain.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know. Does she?
Wait. You gonna let me say it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, do it again. I want to do it.
Go ahead.
No, what do you mean? You're first.
No, I'm not.
One thing's for sure.
Two things for certain.
It's 3 the power.
Oh, that's so nice. No, go like this. Earl, you gotta grab it.
No, man, I don't.
Come on. Give me a hug.